Well, one of the immediate wrinkles out of all of this in the days after the whole sorry affair, and this has been reported in a couple of papers, that Julie Bishop, the Foreign Minister, is weighing up her options. Well, I think I can say that unless somebody is very persuasive in the next few hours, then she'll be calling a news conference and she will quit. As Minister for Foreign Affairs, she'll go to the backbench and she'll announce that she'll be leaving politics altogether at the next election. She'd probably go sooner, except I think she's demonstrated in the past that she doesn't want to deliberately do damage to the Liberal Party. Shane, how big a loss would that be?
That would be a significant loss, almost as big as the loss, the fact that she couldn't get one of her West Australians to support her in the ballot on Friday.
I think all of them told her they were supporting her.
Yes, you've had a majority of West Australians voted for Peter Dutton, and Julie Bishop was expecting at least some support for herself. She is in the safe seat of Curtin. The margin's 20%. The question is, if she leaves, does Christian Porter, the Attorney General, make a move from his seat of Pearce, which he is under extreme duress there? Like, Labor thinks this is a seat that will fall at the next election, and the past week has not helped that Christian just happens to own property in the seat of Curtin.
But it does mean that they lose two of their great electoral assets. Malcolm Turnbull, who even as recently as last week was saying to colleagues that I'm your greatest electoral asset. There's Malcolm. And Julie Bishop, who's also a great electoral asset, someone who could bring in the money. The seat of Curtin itself, WA, enormous buckets of cash flow into the Liberal Party. She's also been this huge marginal seat campaigner. In fact, that's one of her central pitches. She was ringing around the marginal seat holders and saying, vote for me, I can save the furniture. She was almost the Kevin Rudd candidate. That was his pitch too. This is a mess, but I can save.
Those who talked, like when they were having the Dutton supporters who were contacted, played down the way that ScoMo talked to them, but said Julie was just polished. And it goes and the other issue is the fact that you've lost Malcolm, who's a great fundraiser and puts his own money into this party, and Julie Bishop. These guys have got they've barely got two brass reserves to rub together at the moment.
To show how important she is. Last night, Liberals I spoke to were still urging and hoping she would stay, and as well a woman. We know they have a huge problem with getting women, and while we look at maybe Linda Reynolds or Melissa Price getting promoted, losing Julie Bishop will be huge.
Exactly.
Well, Julie Bishop was clearly embarrassed with her numbers, and she's entitled to be both embarrassed and angry. She got just 11 votes and nobody in her home state, Western Australia, voted for her, and this is why. I got hold of a WhatsApp thread from a hastily formed group of moderates called, would you believe, Friends for Stability. And this advice came through from Paul Fletcher. Cormann, rumoured to be putting some WA votes behind Julie Bishop in round one. Now, be aware that this is a Ruth's. They're trying to get her ahead of Morrison so that he drops out and his vote goes to Dutton. Despite our hearts tugging for Julie, we need to vote with our heads for Scott in round one. And then this, someone should tell Julie, agrees, and somebody else. And then Christopher Pyne, I have, very respectfully. Well, Bishop supporters say he was so respectful they didn't even hear it. And then you get the list of names attached, and so in the end she was a victim, I suppose, of tactics, and I'm sure that helps to explain why she's less than impressed with her colleagues.
Well, look, there is that, but I also think at the heart of this was the calculation, the cold calculation, that if she were to become Liberal leader, she would have been destroyed once again from within. She has got broad support outside of the party, but less inside the party. But there's also some big enemies. ScoMo becomes the accidental Prime Minister because he was the least worst option inside the party room at the time. It would have been catastrophic for many. That if Peter Dutton had got up, the view was that Julie Bishop would have just been torn down by Tony Abbott and others inside the party, and they've made this calculation. It's vicious and it's nasty, and she'll be very, very upset about what the West Australians have done.
Now, she hasn't quit yet, but if she was to go, who would be the next foreign minister?
Steve Chabot would have to be a leading candidate, ironically, of someone who was actually, fell away from the from Malcolm Turnbull.
And one of those who got up in the House and said, I've got confidence in Turnbull.